This week we continue our journey through West Virginia with a stop at the Cass Scenic Railroad State Park, Blackwater Falls State Park, and we climb the Olson Tower for some amazing views. So far, we have shared our adventures through West Virginia, including stops at Babcock and Hawks Nest State Park, and America's newest national park, the New River Gorge, including a daring walk under the bridge 850 feet above the gorge.
After our time in the Fayetteville area, we made the drive into the eastern part of the state for our ride on the Cass Scenic Railroad. This was about a 2.5-hour drive on local and state highways into a fairly remote part of West Virginia. If you're making this drive, we absolutely recommend downloading your GPS maps ahead of time for offline use. There is no cell phone service in the majority of this area, and that's for a very specific reason that we'll talk more about a little later. The town of Cass remains relatively unchanged since its founding in 1901 by the West Virginia Pulp and Paper Company. Cass was built as a company town for the loggers who worked in the nearby mountains. Construction of the railroad started in 1901. It was used to haul lumber to the mill at Cass.
Today, the state operates an 11-mile scenic ride to the overlook at Bald Knob, which is the third highest point in West Virginia. We booked our tickets about 2 months before our trip, and our seats were $81 per person. All seats are open air, which was perfectly fine when we went in late June, but I could see it maybe being a little chilly in the cooler months. The cost of your ticket includes a bagged lunch, which is good because we left at about 11 a.m. and the ride lasts 4.5 hours, and we had not had the forethought to stop for anything to eat before we left. What is that?
Applesauce.
Oh.
What's this?
The pasta salad. Potato chips. Where did that piece of cheese come from? Oh, it's a DIY sandwich. A hoagie roll.
A gourmet brioche bun. The rail line operates a couple of different locomotives, all of them steam. Our locomotive was the Shea No. 11, originally built in 1923. The maximum speed is 20 miles an hour. It is fueled by coal and has a 5-ton fuel capacity, with a water capacity of 4,000 gallons. The dry weight is 173,800 pounds. To bring the history of the line more into the present, the steam locomotives are the same kind of Shea locomotives used in Cass during the early 1900s when the line was established. Many of the passenger cars are also old logging cars that have been refurbished for passengers.
The elevation gained during the ride is 2,390 feet to the summit of Bald Knob at 4,842 feet. This actually makes this one of the steepest grades of a traditional railroad line at about 8% at some points. Anything steeper than 10% and a cog railway is required. Multiple cars run on this line with a few different itineraries to choose from, which gives you a chance to see how they navigate multiple trains on a single track. A little ways into the trip, we stopped to take on more water. Remember when we mentioned that the water capacity was 4,000 gallons? Well, that's only enough to make it part of the way up.
Display of smoke and steam as we get underway. So have your cameras ready.
After the 11-mile journey, the train reaches the rustic overlook at Bald Knob, which offers sweeping views of the valleys below. From here, you can spot the giant Robert C. Byrd Green Bank Telescope, the world's largest fully steerable radio telescope at the Green Bank Observatory in the valley near the foot of the mountain. This telescope is the reason we mentioned earlier about this area not having cell service. This is known as the National Radio Quiet Zone, a 13,000 square mile area of Virginia and West Virginia where there is no Wi-Fi, no cell service, and no radio transmissions allowed. This area was created in 1958 to reduce the interference for the telescope, which is used to study cosmic phenomena occurring billions of light years away from Earth.
This area was selected because of its natural bowl shape created by the surrounding mountains, helping to reduce the interference. There are various degrees of restrictions as you get closer to the observatory, with more strict rules being about 10 miles in, and the strictest rules within 2 miles. Guests can visit the telescope and hike out to it, but they are not permitted to bring any electronics with them, including cameras, smartwatches, or cell phones, even if they are turned off.
After our train ride, we made our way to the town of Elkins. This town is connected to Cass by the rail line, which now operates the Greenbrier Express, another steam train rail. If we ever make our way back here, we would love to ride that one also. For the night, we stayed at the newly renovated, historic Tigert Hotel. The next day, we began our drive back to Pittsburgh in order to catch our flight home, but we picked a later flight so that we were able to make a couple of stops along the way.
The Olson Observation Tower is one of the few remaining fire towers in the Monongahela National Forest, and yes, it is still open to the public to climb. It is 133 steps to the top with an open room on top. The tower provides 360-degree views of the surrounding areas, including the Cheat River, Blackwater Canyon, Canaan Mountain, Backbone Mountain, and the Otter Creek Wilderness. Our last stop of the trip was Blackwater Falls State Park, only 20 minutes from the observation tower. The access to the falls is a relatively short path, but mostly made up of stairs.
The falls are a 57-foot cascade, which is one of the most photographed nature scenes in West Virginia. The water is tinted amber brown by the tannic acid of fallen hemlock and red spruce needles. Thanks for watching our journey through West Virginia. We hope you enjoyed watching these videos as much as we enjoyed making them. If you are planning a trip to the area and have any questions, please let us know what they are in the comments.
Please consider subscribing to our channel for more adventures in the future, and be sure to check out some of these other videos. We've taken many train rides across the US, and we have plenty more planned for the future.